Forced to find a way to live with the ongoing blackouts, haven't we? Just a reminder, it's currently stage 4 for what has been most of today. It's actually just moved into stage 5. Forgive me, it's stage 5 from 4 p.m. I got that the wrong way around, didn't I? So welcome to stage 5 blackouts for the rest of the evening. But it's all having direct effects on our lives. But what about the indirect effects that these power cuts will eventually have, for example, on your pocket? The agricultural sector feeling the pinch, and this will possibly lead to a spike in the cost of basic foods. So just how bad is this going to get? Is there anything we can do? Well, let's find out. Christo van der Rheede is the Executive Director at Agri SA, always making time to speak to us. Christo, hello. Good to have you with us. And we're talking about inflation. Now we're talking about increased levels of blackouts. Just how much financial damage do you think the sector is suffering at the moment?
The cost of diesel combined with the need to buy generators is really putting the agriculture sector under severe pressure. I've engaged with a number of farmers, and many of them say, listen, if this situation continues, we will either have to close shop, or we will have to cut down on our number of workers, or we'll have to plant less. So Africa is blessed in that we've got a very resilient agriculture sector. But this sector has been facing huge increases in the cost of fertilizer, in the cost of diesel. We've seen the repo rate most probably going up again. Since 2021, it went up by 350 basis points, which makes the cost of capital even more expensive. And I don't want to even add logistic costs and so forth. So this is becoming a costly exercise. And on top of it, farmers are losing their crops because they don't have the electricity to irrigate it.
The cost of business is always incredibly high, and traditionally cost of doing business, cost of production would just get passed on to the consumer. Christo, I think that's how business has been done for many, many years. The problem is the consumer, the end user, no longer has the money to buy the increased goods which the farmers could use to get better irrigation, to buy all the diesel, to buy all the UPSs, etc. The problem is they can't sell the product. So where do we try and fix this problem?
And on top of it, remember, farmers are price takers. They are not the price makers. And we've seen how farmers have struggled to really, make those products available because they cannot slaughter it. They cannot keep it throughout the cold chain because the cold chain itself is compromised. So that's the other side of the coin. We have engaged with Eskom yesterday, and we've asked Eskom to do 3 things for us. One, that is to have a more flexible approach to load shedding. There are farmers in certain areas that require irrigation or they require electricity for irrigation because they are planting at this point in time, and to see to what extent they can have lower levels of load shedding. And they are prepared to take higher levels during off-peak season and so forth. Then we've also said that change the Rudolph system because normally farmers would irrigate during lower peak times because the higher peak times is quite costly. But that doesn't make sense anymore because load shedding is taking place at any time. Yeah. And then thirdly, bring your private sector on board so that more people can put electricity back into the system that is privately generated and have a buyback plan in place so that Eskom can do that.
Christo, let me ask you in closing, briefly if you wouldn't mind, is this electricity crisis sending us into a food crisis? If yes, how long?
Well, currently, as I've said earlier, farmers are very resilient. They won't drop the ball. But what do you do if this load shedding level 6 continue for a very long time? Then we're certainly going to have serious problems because without electricity, the agricultural value chain can't operate properly and efficiently.
Oscar, good to speak to you. Hopefully one day, I beg your pardon, sorry, Christo, good to speak to you. Hopefully one day we'll be able to talk about the price of food coming down. I just wonder if that's going to be this year. I would suspect no. But Christo van der Rheede, always very kind with his time, Executive Director at Agri SA. So for those of us who rely on the farmers, who rely on the logistics, it looks like prices are going to skyrocket later in the year. But the problem is, as we were just hearing from Christo, there is a point where a farm is no longer sustainable, regardless of how much you push up the prices in the end.